All right, we have one half of the main event on the upcoming September 1st edition of Dana White's Contender Series. Joining us right now, he's going to take on Cody Brundage in a light heavyweight matchup. He's been here before, got himself a developmental deal, and now he's going to try to do it one more time and parlay it into a full-on UFC contract. The nightmare is here. William Knight, how are you, sir?
Good yourself. I just finished running 2 miles. Actually, I just finished.
There you go. Look at that hair, man. That's outstanding. I saw you in January. It was not like that. Tell me about the hair and the beard. The beard's a little crazy too now that I see it.
Yeah, I mean, like since lockdown, I just been focused on just grinding, man, just grinding. By all means, I don't really get shape ups and stuff like that because I don't have nobody to impress really. Just impress myself. So my training speaks for itself. So other than fights or upcoming events like big media things or anything, I would usually, but this was like a last minute thing, and then my barber told me Saturday, so I'm
Ah,
kind of like this today.
so we got you sort of like natural William Knight here. That's fine. That's fine. Now I've seen like all sides of you at this point. This is beautiful. But as you know, you and I have spoken a number of times over the last 18 months or so, and nobody in the history of the Contender Series has embraced getting a developmental deal more than you have. I mean, you got to compete for CES in January. You got a third round finish over a wily veteran in Rocky Edwards. But to go from 4 fights in 5 months to 0 fights in 7 or 8 months because of this pandemic, how have you sort of handled this layoff between fights?
I mean, if you think about it, if you look at my history of fighting from amateur to pro, I was always fighting anyway. So this little layoff didn't really kill me. Like, if you think about it, there was 1 month where I fought 3 times. I fought 2 MMA bouts, and one was for a title, and the other one was just a normal bout. And then I have fought in a tournament for Muay Thai. So if you think about it, this little couple months with layoff really didn't affect me. I still got that spark and that flame. So I just been training and grinding.
Well, that's good, man. Because CES was actually planning on hosting an event in March before it got canceled due to COVID. Were you supposed to be on that card, or was this Contender Series fight already locked and loaded by then?
I believe I was on that card, the 15th, right?
Yeah, it
Or
was either the 12th or the 15th, something like that.
yeah, I was actually. They had gave me an opponent and everything, so I was training for that, and then it didn't fall through. So
It's been a tough year for a lot of people, a lot of fighters around the country and around the world. But I feel like New England here has been in a really rough spot because it seems like maybe the area was on its way to getting events up and running, and then things got delayed even more. How have some of your teammates, your training partners, and even yourself in a way? I know you're grinding away, but how has everybody kind of in your circle reacted to not being able to fight or compete over these last several months?
I mean, a lot of them they've just been like staying active, like doing little home circuits, doing cardio, doing challenges like 5 mile challenge or 2 miles every 2 hour challenge, things like that. Dumbbells, kettlebells, anything they can do, we would just tag each other in push ups, sit ups, sprints, whatever. We would tag each other and just have a full circle of just things doing. And and if you didn't record it, it didn't count. So it was pretty fun. We had a little group online and we were doing that. But other people like Parker Porter, actually, one of my newest teammates that I've been training with, he just fought in the UFC.
Yeah.
It's like we've been grinding, like we've been getting this work. So as for me, I'm always grinding. So regardless if I'm fighting or not, it's just something I became addicted with. I think I swear I have a problem. I think I really have a problem. Like it's a good problem to have, but it's a problem. I If I don't train, I feel like I'm getting sick. The walls are closing in. I call my coach panicking. He's like, "Dude, you need to have a chill day. You need to have a rest day." I'm like, "I don't believe in rest days. I need to grind. My body's acting up, things like that." But for the most part, it's like my teammates, they found a way to stay active just as I did. So it really didn't affect us because we were smarter in the aspect of figuring things out. Even though the gyms were closed, we would tag each other in videos and do a couple things and get things done.
How was sort of the beginning of the pandemic for you? Because did you put on a couple of LBs at the beginning of this thing and then sort of snapped out of it? Is that what I had seen, or?
Nah, so in the beginning, I was actually leaning out even more.
Oh, for
And
real?
yeah, and then my fight got pushed. When I got news that my fight got pushed is when I started to put back on the weight because
Oh, okay.
I didn't care about my diet too much because if anyone truly understands the pandemic, one, you would go to stores, food was gone. Two, any kind of food that they had available, it would be mostly like junk. So it was like things that I normally wouldn't eat. And three, for some reason they upped the prices on food. So a normal thing of chicken wasn't going for $4 and $5 anymore. It was going for $9 and $10. So I had to make do with what I had, and I kind of gained some weight from that. But I knocked it back off. The grind is always real. It's
Yeah.
always real.
It's crazy. It's still like that too. Like I went to the grocery store yesterday and got some chicken. I think it was like 2 packages, 2 pieces each in each package. It was like $26 for 4 pieces of chicken. That's nuts.
Yeah, that's the crazy part. Like people, it's still going on. And then I was just in Stop and Shop, and they limited me to 2 packs of broccoli. And then I tried to,
Broccoli?
yeah, they limited me. Then I'm sitting here and I sent somebody else to go get me more because I live off it. And come to find out, when you scan your card, they got you marked. So they were like, "Oh, I couldn't scan it." They said they couldn't scan it, that I got my limit for the day. I was like, "What?"
Oh my God.
And yeah, that's how I started to learn. Like, yo, I need to hoard this stuff, man. I see why people are hoarding it, but at the end of the day, like, don't start purchasing things and getting things that you didn't get before. Because now I'm over here suffering. Like, it's hard to get broccoli, greens, and things like that.
You got to get to like BJ's or Costco and get broccoli in bulk. Get those like big, huge boxes of it. Then you're good to go. You can store up and stock up for like the next couple of months and you're good to go.
Yeah, like going to certain markets because it's fresh and like
Yeah,
grown like the real way, not freaking chemicals and all this and that. So there's certain places I actually go to get certain things.
that makes sense. I'm actually surprised during all of this that you didn't get like an all-out call to the UFC. I mean, we talked about Parker; he just got a short notice call, but with all like the short notice fights and things of that nature, I'm surprised you didn't get the bump up. Was that discussed at all to your knowledge to have you sort of skip the queue, skip the Contender Series, the second go around, and get right up to the UFC?
I mean, not that I know of, it was never brought to my attention if it was, but the like I'm not mad. Like, if anybody knows me, I just like fighting. That's me. I just like the competition. I like fighting. I like going in that cage with the thought of, man, this dude's gonna try to stop me, and then me have to pour out even more and be more of who I am. Like, all this training actually gets to shine now. This is where you take over. This is where you become this monster that you speak of. So, like, for them not to call me or anything, or that's pretty cool. There's a few people that did get called, and look what happened to them. They took the short notice fight. Sometimes it isn't about the short notice fight. It's about how the short notice fight is going to end up. So the certain people I did see with the past few weeks, I'm like, man, they shouldn't have took this fight. Like, one kid, I guess, he took a short notice fight and gave up on the stool. Like, his chances of being in the UFC now are like, eh. Like, what are his chances now in the future? And he's that young. That's the crazy part.
Yeah, I think he was 5-0,
So
6-0, one of the top prospects at 55. He already got released. Crazy. It's already
yeah,
out.
and at what risk? Because you took a short notice fight for one of the biggest promotions. Like, if you were training and on point, then that's different. But don't take no short notice fight and then try to rush everything. Live to tell another day.
That's a good way of looking at it. From our past conversations, you're a guy who doesn't care all that much about who you're fighting and what they bring to the table. Cody Brundage has been on a tear heading into September 1st. He's 5-0. He's been incredibly dominant in all of his fights, finished most of them early, has that wrestling pedigree. Because of the stakes here, is your approach the same from that aspect, or have you given Cody a little more of a look than your past opponents?
Yo, my A1 rule, I don't look at my opponents. If you're a fighter, to be truthful, if you are a real if you're a fighter you will never go back in the cage the same. Yeah, you have some of the same things, but you will always develop. And that's why I don't look up opponents. Like, I can't. It's just not in me. I leave that for my coach. Then we drill things and we do things, and then it comes natural if I'm in there. Like, okay, I've seen this before. Oh, my coach is doing this. Like, oh, all right, I see what comes next. Okay, cool. Boom, boom, boom. Then you're looking up your opponent. You see him with a fancy style, and it's like, oh, I need to watch out for this attack that he always does. And now you didn't train yourself to defend it. You trained yourself to actually be defeated. So you're sitting there looking for that, and the next thing you know, that overhand doesn't come. Now it's a head kick, and now look at you laying on the canvas. So it's like, what's the point? I'm always evolving. I'm always learning. I'm always fancying up my style. So regardless of wrestling, you've seen two high-level caliber wrestlers that I went against, Terrence and Jamal. So it's like, I don't fear wrestlers. They all have this wrestling background. They're all this competition, but it's different when elbows and knees and punches are coming at you, and it's coming from someone who can match you or just as aggressive or stronger or faster. So I don't stress it or worry.
I feel like in a weird way, you're in like the exact same position as you were last summer. Like, you're fighting a 5-0 guy who has a lot of hype right now in a different part of the country, different part of the world. You know, he's got the guy with a lot of finishes, guy coming in on a hot streak. To square off against you, it's almost like the same kind of a thing. Guy with a good grappling pedigree, finishes a lot of guys. It's almost like the same thing 2 years in a row. How do we sort of improve on last year?
Oh, there's a big improvement. So last year I didn't really get to showcase my striking. My striking is dangerous. Like, people sit there because for some stupid reason in my mind, like, literally, I have this mindset where I don't want to hurt you. I want to finish the fight and not hurt you at the same time. And that's been since day one. What happens when I turn that switch off? Because that's the last switch that's holding me back. That's the last switch. What happens when I turn that switch off? What kind of animal will you unleash? Will I be like Melvin? Will I be like John Jones? Will I be better than them? Like, I look up to Kevin Randleman. I watch his fights and just see his don't give a fuck attitude, and that shit just sparked a flame under me. Like, now I'm in that mindset, like, yo, he's done this to so many people where he's explosive and just a savage, and they're still fighting. So I'm at a point now where I'm like, you know what? Be you. Be that aggressor. Be that savage. They'll be okay at the end of the day, because when you're sitting across the cage, they don't care about me. They don't care about how I end up. They want to put me to sleep. They want to finish me. They want to submit me. They want to knock me out cold. They want to turn me into a highlight. So now I'm looking at it in a different mindset. The same with the Rocky Edwards fight. That's when it all began there, right there. I'm like, you know what? Now it's time to change up. Like, start using the striking, start setting things up, start fighting my fights.
Was it like between the second and third round of that Rocky fight where that switch kind of flipped for you? Because it seemed like you were doing very well with the takedowns on the ground, controlling him on the ground. But the third round's when you opened up with the striking, you were able to finish the fight and get a little more devastating. Did that flip switch like between the second and third rounds of that fight in January?
Second round, he took my back, so I was defending it, and then literally, no lie, like, y'all may not have seen it, but we were talking to each other, and we were just talking to each other. I'm like, yo, when I get up, you know I'm gonna finish you, right? He was like, no hard feelings. He's like, no hard feelings, but you're gonna have to get up first. You gotta survive the round. We were literally chopping it up, laughing and having fun. And the third round came up, and my coach was like, dude, stop fucking joking. Go out there and finish the fight. You know what you need to do. Set it up. You see he doesn't like something, you go top, go to the body, then go over top. And that's exactly what I did. Touch, go, and that's it. With a 1-2, poop, poop. And that was it.
We've talked about how much you've enjoyed this developmental deal over the last year, you know, being able to stay pretty active since you've gotten it for the most part until things sort of shut down. Do you feel like September 1st, it all comes to an end here? Like, this will be your last fight not inside a UFC octagon?
So when September 1st comes, I'm going to do my thing. Like, I'm going to go out there and be me. At the end of the day, I'm fighting self. I'm not really fighting an opponent. I'm fighting to outperform my last performance. And with that mindset, I will always keep like developing. I can't go in there to be like, oh, I'm better than you. Maybe today, maybe that day's not his day. Maybe that day's not my day. But I'm going in there with the mindset to win, period, by all means, whatever it takes. So the developmental contract, I mean, if it ends, it ends. Like, as long as they keep me fighting, I'll be fine. I just like to fight. That's it. Developmental, UFC, just keep me fighting. That's it. Keep me fighting. Keep me busy. Every 3 months is cool. I know they don't like the every month thing. There's medical suspension. They're big on things like that. But just keep me active and I'll be fine.
Yep, Dana's loving that right now, especially in these pandemic times. There's guys, Yusuf Salal, who's a featherweight, is about to have his 4th UFC fight this year. It's nuts. And I don't know if you've been paying attention to the Contender Series this season and sort of the aftermath of these episodes, but a lot of the guys and gals who have gotten contracts from these past 3 weeks, they're already booked for their first fights in the UFC. I know we don't want to look past September 1st, but that has to excite you knowing that Dana White and the matchmakers, they're looking to turn you guys and gals around like super fast after you get these wins and get these contracts.
I'm ready, man. I'm ready. I don't want to speak on no names right now, but there's a couple of heads that I'm after, man. Like they're saying the 205 division's on notice, and that confidence I like. I like confidence like that. I don't like the what if and maybe or I'll try. I like the confidence in those people. Like that gives me an excitement. Just this rush of adrenaline. Like, yo, let's go. I'm about to fight and get the scrap going. Like, people don't realize, yo, I endure pain, yo. It's an adrenaline to me. I love it. I don't inflict it on myself. But when it's coming at me, you know, in the cage, that's like my only like getaway. I'm like, ugh. People think I'm crazy or like I got issues, but I don't. I'm actually a good dude. I just enjoy the aspect of fighting because the outcome is unknown.
So you're going to give me that whole speech about not throwing out any names. You have heads in your line of vision, but you're not going to give me any of these names. Can you give me one name?
I can't give you no names right now.
You gave me one the last time.
I gotta get past this first.
Let me get
past this fight, because to be honest, you should know him. He fought Fabio in the Contender Series. Actually, you should know who he is.
Alan.
Yo, he fought Fabio Chariot on the Contender Series, and Fabio rocked him, and then the way the top shifted when he got caught with that knee. So that dude, he said some slick stuff, man. And I'm like, all right. He's like, oh, anybody can get it. And I'm like, okay. So that'll be a cool fight for me for my UFC debut.
All right, fair enough. I like it. It's not Alon Cruz. I'm trying to think who it is. I know exactly who you're talking about. Man, it's driving me crazy. I can't think of the name. But a couple more things before we wrap up. You mentioned Kevin Randleman and how he's been a guy that you've looked to for motivation, that don't give an F attitude, just go out there and finish guys. And just, the guys that he beats and he finishes and he's pulverized, they come right back and they're okay. What are your thoughts about Kevin Randleman finally getting that UFC Hall of Fame nod? And what specifically about his fights, outside of the fact that he's able to hurt people and be okay with it, do you enjoy watching about him?
He's just explosive and he's explosive. He comes forward. He reacts. He's not scared to get hit. Like, he's like a tank. He's like a tank. He just is just that mindset. And then when it's all done, he'll help you up. He'll talk to you, make sure you're okay. He still has that kind soul. Like, that's how I am. As much as I don't want to hurt you, we have to get this done. And then we can go get steak and beer later, even though I don't drink. You can have my beer too. So you can have 2 beers. I'll just have the steak. So that's just it. Kevin Randleman was just explosive. Just, oh man, like to see someone with a similar physique like mine to be like that is just mad, just encouraging, and just like motivates me more. Because people swear I'm a gas out and stuff. Like, if you see my fights, I start slow because like I'm waking up. Second round, okay, let's cool. Third round, all right. Mind you, I'm built for championship fights. If you look at my amateur career, how many championship belts did I hold? How many of them did I defend? That's how I trained since day one. I came into Thornton's when my coach said, dude, let me work with you. Because mind you, I was 297. I came there to do jiu-jitsu, nothing else. And he told me, listen, if you let me guide you, we can get as far as the UFC. Let me guide you. Let me get your hands right. Let me teach you what MMA is. Because I was just a wrestler. But then he seen me defending these grapplers. Like, I don't know the level or the caliber of these grapplers, but I was defending them, putting them in bad positions, just holding them off and everything else. So then, 4 years later, look where we are.
It's crazy, man. What a development so quickly. Do you have your own gym now? Did I see that?
No, Iron Will Fitness is owned by Carmen. There's just, I say it's funny because it's Iron Will Fitness and my name's Will, but I don't own it. Carmen owns it.
I saw you like posted some classes up and stuff. I was like, oh man, it's like lots changed since January, but now you filled me in on what's actually going on. One other thing I wanted to ask you about, because I talked to Jimmy Birchfield Jr. the other day. CES is involved in a consulting role for Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones coming up on November 28th. So CES is like involved with the executive producing. They're involved with this fight. Are you into this thing? Are you into Tyson versus Jones? I'm all in for it.
I'm in for it, but it's like, it's an exhibition. But who's to say that you're going to kill each other? Like, I don't know how to take it. I really don't know how to take it. That's just me though. But to see Mike Tyson like that, I want to see him actually in a non-exhibition fight, like a nice, let's go. Like, that's what I want to see. That dude is still scary.
I don't know if he's capable of fighting at exhibition speed though. Like, I don't see how he can do it. Like, get in there and just be like, okay, without trying to take Roy's head off. Like, I just can't see that happening.
And that is where the problem comes in. I guarantee you it's going to be bad.
We're going to get a DQ, aren't we? We're going to get a DQ, some sort of faulty finish. Man.
It's going to happen. Like, there's no avoiding that. Mike Tyson doesn't know how to throw a hook at 20%. His 100% to us is his 20%. So it's like, okay, so throw it at no and just stand there and just turn your body slightly. Still comes with speed and power.
It's a scary man, even in his 50s, no doubt about that. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to seeing you back in there on September 1st. One of the fights I've had circled since it was announced, taking on Cody Brundage. Big fight, 205 on Dana White's Contender Series. Good catching up with you, man. I appreciate you downloaded the Zoom app. Glad we got to do this on video. All the best to you for the rest of camp and in the fight itself. And if and when you win, you come back on this show, we start throwing some names out. Sound like a plan?
I got you. I got a couple guys. They just rub me the wrong way. I just don't like. They just rub me the wrong way. Like, it's nothing against them. It's that warrior versus warrior. Like, oh, you're a savage too. Oh, let's see how this goes.
All right, man. All the best to you, man. Looking forward to the fight. Thanks for the time.
Definitely. Thanks.